You know, when it comes to crystal clear blue pool water, filtration is king. That's what we're going to talk about on this episode of 2 Minutes in the Pool. What's up guys, Christian here with River Pools. Yes, we're talking about filtration because it, at the end of the day, is what keeps your pool water crystal clear. Of course, you have to keep your chemicals in check and your water balanced, but if you don't have any way to filter out all the contaminants, you still have cloudy water. So, filtration is king. I hope you're going to find this video helpful, whether you're in the market to buy a new pool, whether you have a pool already and you're looking to know more about your filtration system. Anyway, if the video is helpful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Facebook and Instagram for more educational pool content from us here at River Pools. So let's start talking about, we're going to talk about in particular two types of filter systems. We're going to talk about sand filters, we're going to talk about cartridge filters. There are actually three types. There's a third one, a DE filter, a diatomaceous earth filter, but it's not as prevalent, not as common, and so more than likely you either have a sand filter or cartridge filter, or you're considering one of those two. So let's just start with sand and start at the top. This is the most traditional way to filter a pool, and if you go and you look over near a pump, almost everybody has seen that tubby looking tank right over there. That's probably a sand filter. And the way it works is that it's filled with pool filter sand, which is a special type of sand. It's more angular, it's not round, but more angular, and that way it can catch all the contaminants and all the debris that we're filtering out. You can't go and just buy any old sand from Lowe's or Home Depot. You need to make sure that you're using sand specifically for pool filters. That sand is in the tank itself. It's about half, maybe 3/4 of the way up, and what it does is the water comes into the tank and filters from the top down through the sand and then returns clean back to your pool. But what happens over time, over a several day period perhaps, is that the top layer of that sand gets kind of crusty and disgusting because that's the layer catching the bulk of contaminants from the pool. And so the pressure begins to build up in the tank because the water's not flowing as freely, thus the need to backwash. And what's happening during the backwash process is reversing the flow of water, blowing that top nasty, crusty layer of sand up and out, leaving a fresh, clean layer of sand at the top of your sand filter. Now you're ready to go for a few days. Traditionally, with a chlorine system or a salt chlorine pool, sand filters perform very well. There is a need to replace the sand every few years, 3 to 5 years, perhaps, if you have a traditional chlorine or salt system. Remember, if you have a salt system, you're still sanitizing your pool with chlorine. But that sand does need to be replaced every so often. And if you have a Bacquacil, if you're using Bacquacil as your sanitizing agent, those chemicals tend to gum up the contaminants and gum up the sand, requiring that it be changed out more often, maybe every 1 to 3 years. Now, changing it is not that difficult, but it takes a little bit of time. You have to drain the tank, disassemble the top, and open it up. You have to either scoop out or vacuum out with a shop vac all of that wet sand, and then be careful about putting the sand back in so that you don't get it into that center post, which is kind of a distribution hub for the water coming in or going out of the sand filter. So it's not that bad of a job, but it is a little tedious. It takes some time, every few years. And then of course you have to monitor the pressure of your filter and backwash when necessary. So let's take a look at a cartridge filter. Now these are becoming much more common in residential pools these days because they're a little more easier to deal with. First of all, because of the pleats in the filter, there's more surface area to filter more water and go longer before having to be cleaned. You see, unlike a sand filter, a cartridge filter doesn't get backwashed. You simply pull the cartridge out, you shut your system off, open the top of the canister, pull the cartridge out, hose it off, stick it back in place, about a 5-minute process, and you're done. You're gonna have to replace that cartridge every 1.5 seasons perhaps, and you can expect that about once a week, once every 2 weeks maybe, depending on the swim load, that the filter itself is gonna have to be cleaned. Okay, sand filters, cartridge filters, you've got a little more knowledge under your belt now, and I hope you can make a good decision if you're in the market to buy a pool or you've got a little more knowledge to help maintain the pool you already have. I'm Christian with River Pools. You're a little pool wiser today. We'll see you in the next episode of 2 Minutes in the Pool. Catch the wave.